Not sure whether to buy a phone or SIM plan from VOXI or Vodafone? Today, we've compared these two mobile networks based on their speeds and coverage, value for money, roaming allowances, customer service, and more to see which is best. But before we get started, if you're looking for a new phone or SIM-only deal, click the link in the description to greensmartphones.com to compare the cheapest prices on the market at the moment. Just click on a phone you want to buy, or choose SIM-only up here. Then use the filters to define how much data you want and the networks you want to use, and you'll be able to find the cheapest prices on the market. Vodafone is currently one of the big four mobile networks in the UK, meaning they have their own masts that they own and operate. On the other hand, VOXI is a mobile virtual network operator, or MVNO for short, that uses the Vodafone network to allow you to make calls, send texts, and use data. Vodafone actually owns VOXI. They're essentially two brands of the same company. And it's also worth mentioning, Vodafone is merging with Three, meaning that by the time you're watching this video, as a VOXI customer, or a Vodafone customer as well, you might have access to the Three and Vodafone networks for data, calls, and texts. Although it might take them a few years to implement this, so it's not a certainty. In terms of the differences between their two offerings, VOXI is a more simple option that's mostly focused on SIM-only deals, with a flexible 30-day rolling contract, although they do have phone deals as well on a contract, which you can compare in full on greensmartphones.com. With Vodafone, their SIM-only deals are more expensive, but they have a much larger range of pay-monthly phone plans to choose from. We would show you them, but their website is having issues today. It thinks we're logged in when we're not, and then we can't log out of our non-existent account. But basically, they stock all the latest flagships, and a good range of mid-tier and budget phones as well. Since VOXI uses the Vodafone network, in theory, they should have exactly the same coverage and speeds. But is this actually the case? We've tested basically every mobile network on the market at the moment, including pitting VOXI and Vodafone against each other, and what we found was, if the smaller network is owned by the bigger one, normally their coverage and speeds are the same. And that's the case with VOXI and Vodafone. With both providers, we get download speeds of about 120 to 130 megabits per second, with no noticeable consistency advantage on a Vodafone pay-monthly mobile SIM. And in terms of coverage, it's the same story, both on 4G and 5G. So ultimately, VOXI can be a really good way to access the Vodafone network using quite a flexible, pay-as-you-go SIM-only deal. But to tell for certain, come to a VOXI deal on greensmartphones.com, click more details, then click through to the VOXI coverage checker. You can do the same thing on Vodafone deals as well, and then put in your postcode here to get an idea of what their signal is like in the areas you want to use 4G or 5G. There is a catch though to the speeds on offer with the Vodafone network, which it's important to be aware of, no matter which of these providers you're considering. The problem is, a lot of Vodafone SIM plans are speed limited, both on 4G and 5G. For example, these S25 deals are capped at 100 megabits per second. Strangely, if you look at the fine print on most VOXI SIM-only deals, they don't have the same caps, which is a bit strange, given that VOXI is meant to be a lower tier network than Vodafone. So even if VOXI is cheaper than Vodafone, which is often the case as we'll discuss in the next section, they can still offer faster speeds than their parent company. But comparing unrestricted SIMs on both networks, their performance is about the same. So to compare their value for money, let's say you want an unlimited data SIM. With VOXI, this is £30 a month at the moment. And with Vodafone, with the same rolling monthly contract, it's £40 a month for essentially the exact same thing. Not to mention, on their plans with a data limit, VOXI often includes unlimited social media usage, and some of their other plans come with unlimited music or video streaming as well, which isn't the case with Vodafone's SIM-only deals. And it's a similar story when it comes to pay monthly phone contracts. If you want a 128GB iPhone 16, for example, with unlimited data, it's about £50 a month with VOXI at the moment, or £55 a month with Vodafone, plus a £30 upfront cost. And with this Vodafone deal, the SIM is on a 24-month contract, which isn't the case with VOXI. So the long and short of it is, VOXI is almost always cheaper than Vodafone. Vodafone and VOXI are pretty similar when it comes to their roaming allowances, but Vodafone can be a bit cheaper, depending on what type of plan you have. As a VOXI customer, if you want to go to Spain or somewhere else in the EU, you'll have to buy one of these passes, giving you up to 20 gigabytes of usage for a certain one-off cost. With Vodafone, on a pay-as-you-go plan, it's a similar story, except their add-ons are cheaper but come with less data. But as a Vodafone pay monthly mobile customer, you get a much better roaming experience. Roaming is included on quite a few of their pay monthly mobile plans, especially their more expensive ones, with unrestricted 5G speeds, and Vodafone's pay monthly roaming passes last a lot longer than their pay-as-you-go ones do, but they are a fair bit more expensive. These add-ons are actually quite similar to the ones that VOXI offers if you're travelling somewhere outside of Europe, except they don't offer much data at all. The problem with Vodafone is, in these further afield sort of destinations, some of them don't actually have a roaming allowance you can buy, meaning if it's not included on your plan already, you'll be charged around £8 a day for up to 25 gigabytes of data, which is quite expensive. So ultimately, both of these companies' roaming allowances, especially Vodafone's, are a bit complex and can be quite restrictive. But if you want to save as much money as possible, VOXI is normally the best choice, even if you have to sometimes pay for a roaming pass, because the plans themselves are so much cheaper than what Vodafone offers. Since VOXI is a part of Vodafone, when you speak to VOXI's customer support team, you will be getting in touch with a dedicated department of Vodafone support, meaning that overall, the level of customer service on offer from both companies is pretty similar, according to Ofcom data, where they've looked at numbers of complaints, for pay monthly mobile customers at least. Vodafone does pretty well, with just 2 complaints per 100,000 customers at the moment. It is worth mentioning though, as a VOXI customer, you might be a slightly lower priority. While Vodafone has a public support number you can call to get in touch with them, this isn't the case with VOXI. Instead, they push you towards their live chat, which starts off with AI-generated answers and isn't normally that helpful, although you can get it to route you to a human pretty easily during Vodafone support hours if you need to speak to a real person. And from what we can tell, with both Vodafone and VOXI, their teams are UK based, so ultimately, while VOXI support might be a bit worse than Vodafone's, on the whole, both companies do pretty well, a lot better than some other mobile networks at the moment, such as O2, that get more than double the number of complaints as Vodafone does at the moment. If they're offering a plan that suits your needs, we think VOXI is normally always worth choosing over Vodafone at the moment. Their plans are normally considerably cheaper, aren't as restricted when it comes to 5G speeds, and also often come with unlimited social media, music, or video streaming. VOXI is generally a lot better value for money, even though their customer support isn't quite as good as with Vodafone at the moment. Remember, click the link in the description to greensmartphones.com, and once you navigate to a phone you want to buy, or click SIM only up here, you can choose Vodafone and VOXI to just filter by these 2 networks and see which offers the cheapest prices when you're watching this. And if you have any questions about the differences between Vodafone and VOXI, or about choosing a mobile network more broadly, let us know in the comments below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.